Tyler gazed out from his seat at the coffee shop, his emotions a jumbled blend of sadness and joy. Just minutes earlier, he had concluded an argument with his beloved Stacy over the phone. He was states away for a conference, and she hadn't been too keen about him staying for another 4 days. Yet, Tyler couldn't help but smile to himself in amusement. Despite her momentary frustration, it was clear that she still felt the same love for him as before. The wind made him daydream about her in the gentle shade of the awning above him. Tyler's heart was warmed by their connection and its longevity across space and time. It didn't matter that he knew he couldn't be committed to her for long. He rose from the table, pulling himself away from the fantasies and out of his seat. He weaved between chairs, a wave of chatter following him. A friendly buzz filled the air, and his steps were cushioned by old carpeting. He perused the flavors and aromas until settling on an order that seemed just right. Something that would both energize his day and enhance its flavor. After ordering, he waited among the others for his drink, with a sense of ease that only came from knowing your morning ritual. On his way out, he felt a sudden chill on his leg, like icy fingers had reached up from the ground and grabbed a hold of it. There was a sudden thud against his calf, and he felt liquid seep through his trousers. To his dismay, he saw cold coffee spreading quickly over his trousers, staining them forevermore. Looking up from the puddle on the floor around him, he saw a woman standing with shocked eyes, mirroring his own. The glare in his eyes embarrassed the old woman as she stood there apologizing for spilling the coffee on him. All he could see was her wretched and homeless state, and it seemed like he had been personally wronged. Without a word of kindness, he pushed past her and made to get a refill. But then he heard her halting voice stop him in his tracks, asking for just 1 cup of coffee. His response was harsh and unyielding, and he waved her away with impatience. He showed no empathy or charitable feelings towards the woman, even though her allotted circumstances were beyond her control. However, a split second later, he noticed what she was wearing, a beautiful pair of sapphire earrings. The sight of the earrings sent him some years back, the first time he set his eyes on such. He could almost smell the homemade chocolate cake his mother had made for her birthday. He recalled the laughter that echoed in their small kitchen from both his parents, as they shared a joke between them. His father had made pasta with pesto sauce, and Tyler remembered how everyone was overjoyed that day, basking in each other's company and letting go of worries. The sun was shining brightly into their living room, which seemed to reflect the sheer joy of the occasion. It was a moment that Tyler would never forget, the beautiful sapphire earring glinting in the early morning light as his father presented it to his mother outside their house. Tyler knew well the antiquity and importance of this piece. It had been handed down from generation to generation, starting with his grandmother, finally making its way into his father's hands on this peaceful day. His parents' love for each other and family shone through in this simple gesture of appreciation. Although not much was said at the time, Tyler could feel that the earrings were imbued with a special kind of power that only true love could create. Tyler's life changed drastically when his father died in a factory accident 2 years later. After the untimely death of his father due to a factory accident, Tyler and his mother had no choice but to move in with his maternal grandmother. Tyler's mother was never quite the same in the wake of her husband's passing. The depression weighed heavily on her, and the bond between mother and son was strained with worry for her resilience. As if to assuage her deteriorating mental state, she increasingly turned towards alcohol. This only made matters worse, as it cut further into her well-being and chipped away at what little hope remained in Tyler's heart. When he clocked 12, his mother disappeared. She left and never returned. It started small. Usually she left and came back weeks later. But that last time, weeks became months, and months traversed 2 years. It didn't make it easy for Tyler. Despite this tragedy, Tyler decidedly found solace in his grandmother, who raised him from that day onward until her death when he was 28 years old. He faced copious amounts of grief, Yet he managed to make it through with determination and resilience. His courage and dedication guided him to become an exemplary leader of a tech industry powerhouse. His wisdom made women easy prey for him, too. He dated women and dumped them, never having just one girlfriend at a time. After being abandoned by 3 of his loved ones, he feared becoming committed and risked being abandoned again. He couldn't be committed to the girlfriend he left back at home, too. Hence the reason for his extended stay at the state of the conference. A cute lady he met at the hotel lobby had caught his eye, a woman named Mia. Mia was a mesmerizing brunette with curves in all the right places and emerald green eyes that sparkled. Her graceful elegance was simply captivating, as if she had stepped out of an old-fashioned black and white romance film. She exuded confidence and charm from head to toe. Even just sitting at the reception casually caused heads to turn as each passerby admired her beauty and grace. He wished to have a taste of her, and he already got her to give him her phone number. The journey of his thoughts came back to one thing: the earrings. He couldn't allow himself to believe it. This woman he'd never seen before had the same pair of earrings his mother used to wear. He was filled with anger, so much that his jaw clenched and he stared hard at her face. To his amazement, Tyler saw features of his mother in the woman. From her eyes to her nose, the similarities were remarkable. There was no denying that she shared some common lineage with him, making Tyler all the angrier. He wondered if his train of thought was deceiving him. Adrenaline rushed through him, and he decided to confront the woman referring to her earrings. He asked why she abandoned him, but at the same time, a strange glint in her eyes and the shaking of her body communicated confusion more eloquently than words ever could. She stared back at Tyler and calmly told him that she had no son, and she had never abandoned a soul. In that quiet moment between them, Tyler wondered if there was any use in asking further questions that would remain unanswered. He was so infuriated that he quickly marched away from the old woman, not even bothering to look back. As he stumbled back towards the hotel, all his thoughts of Mia evaporated, and with them any pleasantries that once decorated his mood. He remained there for a while in a state of slow detachment. By the time Tyler made it back to his room at the hotel, he was filled to the brim with rage and resentment. He sat on the bed staring into space, feeling like his emotions had taken over his life and everything that it should contain. 2 days after his original visit to the coffee shop, Tyler returned a completely different person. The previous day had been spent with Mia, and for once he had forgotten about the worry and sorrow that weighed him down because of his mother. Rather than feeling a sense of dread, he carried himself in a manner full of enthusiasm and contentment, his entire being soothed by the happiness of spending time with another lady. When Tyler finally arrived at the entrance of the shop, he was startled to see an employee having a heated altercation with a woman. He quickly approached the scene to investigate, and when he got closer, he realized that it was the same old woman from the other day, his mother. The look on his face shifted from surprise to understanding as he addressed both of them in a calm voice. He took her by the arm and thanked the employee for being so patient, assuring them that everything would be taken care of and under control. Once the waiter left, he let go of the arm. Compassion washed over him as he watched his mother's frail posture and timid expression. He asked if she had eaten anything that day. When he saw her shake her head in response, he rushed into the cafe to get food. He ordered a roll and a cup of coffee to make sure she received the nutrition she needed. He brought the food to her and watched her eat, all the while trying to remain composed, but her eyes revealed the guilt that was bubbling beneath the facade. As she gazed at him, she began to speak softly and uttered an apology for all the moments of grief she had brought him. With her words and her gaze, he could tell she was sincerely sorry for not remembering him, a regret that permeated every part of her being. For years he had wished for just this moment, though he struggled to understand how it could have come about. After all these years, his mother had finally chosen to show up, but Tyler wasn't ready to accept her apology just yet. He had loved and missed his mother while she was away, but now that the time had come, he wanted some answers. So he asked her why she never came back after leaving them all those years ago. Despite the pain in both their hearts, Tyler stayed composed as he waited for an explanation. The gravity of the moment hit him as his mother revealed her painful story. Tyler began to comprehend the magnitude of her plight. She had been a young person overwhelmed with grief and left without a plan. When she disappeared from the house, she had become soaked with grief, and being reminded of her dead husband, that she resorted to hitchhiking across the country, eventually losing touch with all connections. This led her down a path of addiction, which she didn't even seem aware of until its full extent. Tyler held his emotions back as he absorbed this heartbreaking truth, understanding why his mother had been so distant from him over the years. On that particular day, he felt more pity for his mother than ever before. She was disheveled and desperate, and Tyler had no choice but to take her back to his hotel room and see what he could do to help her. He bathed her, clothed her in some of his spare clothes, combed and tidied her hair, and made her a bed in the corner of the room that he could occupy himself. The next day, he flew his mother back home with him, making their way to their hometown for the first time in years. He was excited to have her back and ready to start this new chapter in both of their lives. Together, they reminisced over scraped knees from ice skating or his silly fights over the same crayon box. Yet amidst these memories of affection and warmth, there was an unspoken understanding that from that point onward, many things would be different. Tyler had grown up, and it was time for his mother to do the same. They would make their way forward together, learning and growing each step of the way.